Hello again, welcome to another edition of Hashtag Now Smoking. I'm Gary Korb, your host, executive editor for CigarAdvisor.com. And today, I'm going to be smoking the Onyx Esteli Seleccion number 1. This is a 5x54 Robusto. It is very, very handsome looking cigar. It has a very nice San Andrés Maduro wrapper, which I love, from Mexico. And it's well packed. You can tell by the foot too. Let's see it. Getting kind of a sweet note off of that. A little bit of sweetness over that too. So, well, you know I like sweet cigars, but we don't know how sweet this is. But I'm going to tell you something in a minute. Let's cut this first. Cap came off really nice. Really beautiful cut right there. And let's see how the draw is. Oh yeah. Kind of sweet, kind of woody, a little salty, but really nice. Now the thing I was going to tell you was that we actually reviewed the cigar back in November of 2018 when these first came out for a Cigar Advisor review panel review. So what I did was I got out my old notes. And as I smoke this today, I'm going to compare what I'm tasting today to my notes. But let's light it up first, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the cigar itself. Now, Onyx is one of those brands. When I first started in the cigar business, we used to sell these Onyx, you know, the main line, like crazy. And I learned that it was one of the most, I guess, one of the cigars that has one of the most loyal followings, and I think today they still do. People just love the Onyx brand. And I remember when we would sell out of it, they would, you know, they were very upset. I'll give it a little bit more here. Well, the draw is really good. Got a really good volume of smoke, and according to my original notes, it had an excellent draw. Okay, the pre-life flavor and the 2018 that I smoked was more on the leathery side. I guess you could say it was a little leathery, but I got more of the, like I said, kind of a sweet and kind of a woody note this time. And the first few puffs, let's see. Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of smoke in there, and it's very earthy. I'm getting a little bit of kind of a woody note, and just a little bit of sweetness. But I think this cigar probably needs a little more time to round out. So, you know, usually cigar will start kind of hearty, earthy, spicy, and then it'll round out. And I said the first few puffs were earthy with sweet spice notes and white pepper. Well, yeah, I am getting that peppery note. So, okay, there we are. We're consistent. But let's talk a little bit about the cigar. Now, what happened was, the story is that famous smoke shop carries a line of these cigars made by Untitled USA that are blank Esteli. Okay, so like we have a Romeo Esteli, we have a Trinidad Esteli, and this is the Onyx Esteli. And what happened was A.J. Fernandez, who blended the cigar, he had a batch of San Andrés Maduro wrapper that he said was fantastic, and he wanted to use it for something. He went to Altadis and he said, would you like to do something with the wrapper? And I guess they didn't have anything for him at the time, so he came to us and he said, you know, I really want to use this wrapper for a future blend. So you know, we've got this Esteli thing going. Why don't you do it for us, and you know, we'll work it all out. So that's what he did. Unfortunately, the core blend is undisclosed. I'm sure there's some Nicaraguan in here. It could be all Nicaraguan for all I know, but the wrapper is a Mexican San Andrés Maduro, and it really is a good-looking wrapper. I mean, it's flawless just about. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of veins or anything. It's very silky feeling. It's not toothy. It's just really nice. And it tastes pretty good, I'll tell you that, you know. I really like it so far. So let's see what happens when I get a little further down in Act 1. All right, I'm back with the Onyx Esteli Seleccion number 1. And let's review. Great construction. Nice ash, look at that. Nice draw. Beautiful. Nice aroma too. You know, the aroma is really nice. It is kind of sweet. And let's see what I said about the aroma in 2018. It was hearty with a trace of honey. Well, yeah, it is kind of, it's a little burly, but it is a little sweet too, so I like that. This cigar was made, again, for famous smoke shop exclusively to be part of the Esteli selections, and this is the Onyx Esteli. And so far, it's really been very good. I'm really enjoying it. Now, I don't know if this box is as old as 2018, but a lot of times when a cigar is allowed to rest, it definitely improves. And maybe I'm just, you know, it's a situation I'm in. Maybe it's the coffee, but I'm really enjoying the cigar a lot. It's really, really nice. And I don't know if it'd normally be a morning cigar, but I'm really liking it. I'm getting a little bit of sweetness. It's got to be off the wrapper. And I'm still getting kind of like a woody note, a little bit of pepper, but it's kind of subsided a little bit now. It's really creamy. And I've got a little bit up into my nasal cavity in there a little bit. It's kind of peppery, so I'm not really going to do a retrohale, but I can tell a retrohale is going to be pretty spicy. But let's see what I said about the Act 1 a couple years ago. It said here, notes of earth and sweet spice. Yes. Roll out of the gate. White pepper. Yes. Rounds out to a full-flavored creamy mix of earth, oak, sweet spice. Yeah, so it's been really consistent, and that's important. You want a cigar that's consistent. You want to be able to say, every time I pick up that cigar, I know how it's going to be. I know it's going to be really great. And I think that's another reason why Onyx has been, you know, such a loyal brand when it comes to cigar smokers who know it. And it's been around a long time. It really has. It's really, really stood the test of time. And this one by AJ, you know, you put together a classic brand with someone like AJ who really knows his stuff when it comes to blending and make it a Nicaraguan blend. And I think you really got something here. So I'm really, really impressed so far. And I'll tell you another thing. It's going great with my coffee. And I got a pretty hearty cup of coffee here too. Not a lot of sugar, very little cream. It's mostly, you know, just coffee, and it's really, really nice. So you know what? I don't know. I may change my mind about a morning cigar. Because if you like something with a full body, and this is definitely more on the full side. I guess you could say it's medium full, but if you like something in the morning that has a little bit of kick to it, maybe with a good cup of coffee like I have here today, or maybe something stronger, an espresso or something, this is definitely a nice match. So I'm going to just continue to enjoy this, and we'll see what happens when I get to Act 2. All right, we are well into Act 2 for the Onyx Esteli, which is exclusive to Famous Smoke Shop. And I gotta tell you, I'm really liking this cigar. It is smoking beautifully. It is very smooth. It is more in the medium full range in terms of body, very creamy, and I'm really getting a lot of flavor out of it. And I got to tell you, when, like I said earlier, when I was talking about how when I first started in the business and Onyx was so popular and, you know, they had a very loyal following, so I, you know, did try an Onyx cigar back then, and I really didn't like them. I really did. It just wasn't for me. But I got to tell you, I'm really being seduced by this cigar, and I can't say enough good about it. It's just got a great balance of flavors. And here in Act 2, I'm getting kind of still getting some of that sweetness off the wrapper. I'm still getting a little bit of spice, and I even got a little bit of like kind of a tangy, citrusy kind of a note too. And let's see what I said back in 2018. I said the second act continues along well balanced, right? Well balanced. A note of espresso. Well, I haven't picked that up yet, but okay. Earth, wood. It is still earthy. It is a little bit woody. Sweet spice, which I already noted. And the pepper has faded from the mix. So yes, it's not as peppery as it was. It's spicy, but it's not peppery. You know, in other words, it's not hot. It's just spicy, like good spicy, you know, meal. But I am really, really liking it. Now, normally, if you've been watching the last few weeks, we've been bringing on, you know, different things to pair with these cigars. You know, whiskeys, bourbons, rums, all kinds of things like that. I just decided to stay with coffee today because I really think this is a great match. But if you'd like to pair it with something, I would probably recommend a bourbon. This is definitely a bourbon cigar, or a sweeter single malt, and even the rum, like you would say a long-aged rum, which is sort of barrel-aged in, say, like bourbon barrels, something like a Zaya or something like that. That would definitely be good too. Yeah, it's just really smooth. It's just really creamy. It's really hitting on all the right points, and I don't think you can ask for more than that in a cigar. And as I mentioned earlier, AJ Fernandez blended the cigar, and the guy is really good. And a lot of his stuff tends to lean toward the spicier side, and I'm kind of getting used to his stuff. I didn't like a lot of his cigars at first, but the more I smoke his blends, the more I'm starting to get it. So I think that's important too. The other thing I wanted to mention is I've been taking at least a minute or so between puffs, and I've talked about this before. And I think a cigar like this, you know, you got a 54 ring. It's you know, pretty hearty blend. It's robust, and I think that when you let it sit, just let it relax, have your drink, whatever, talk to your friends, and you give it that little extra bit of time to kind of cool and just let the tobaccos and all the little flavors caramelize in between puffs. It really does make a difference. So I'm going to put that out there again, and we're just about to the band, so let's see what happens when we finally get to the last act. All right, we are definitely into Act 3, and I got to tell you, this thing has been amazingly consistent. Our Onyx Esteli Seleccion #1. And I got to tell you another thing too. A lot of times, like, a cigar will soften up, you know, as it, you know, burns down, and it's still remained pretty firm. I think that's a pretty good sign too. And unfortunately, I lost the ash. The ashes have been great. They've been nice, about 3/4 of an inch. They're not the firmest ashes, but they're a nice gray color, and they really hold on pretty well for the most part. You know, one thing I wanted to say about the flavors is that here in Act 3, I'm still getting a little bit of salt came back. I'm still getting some of that tanginess. It's still mainly earthy and spicy, and it's a little less sweet, which is fine. But you know, it's important sometimes to read about some of these blenders and how they do it. And if you read about the soil that these tobaccos are grown in, particularly Nicaragua, which has a lot of areas where they grow tobacco, could be one way, you know, in one region, and then maybe 10 miles away, it's different, you know, because of the soil. It's all about the soil. And I think the more that you read about how tobacco is processed and how it's grown, and I think it gives you a better appreciation for the cigar. And I think that if you know a little bit more about what's in the cigar, it gives you an idea of how the cigar is probably going to hit you. And I think you do get, you know, more out of the cigar, more out of what you're smoking, and it's good to know that stuff too, you know. So I'm really, really, really impressed with this, and I think this is going to be probably a regular part of my rotation now. I'm not kidding. It's just really, really tasty. So let's see what I said in my review a couple of years ago when we did our panel review on it for Act 3. I said it offered little change. Well, that's not true, because I did get some good changes, but it's mostly earth, oak, espresso, and a slight vestige of sweetness remaining. So it is for the most part, it has been pretty consistent, and that's nice to know too. I just can't stop puffing on it because I'm really liking it a lot. All right, so the moral of the story is never let a good wrapper go to waste. And I'm really glad that AJ was able to bring this wrapper and create a blend for Famous Smoke Shop. And it just really came out great. And when you have a good blender, you got a good wrapper, you got good tobacco, you really can't miss. All right, so there you have it. This Onyx Esteli Selection #1, very delicious. There are also 2 other selections in the line, and you can buy it exclusively at famous-smoke.com, Famous Smoke Shop, and I really highly recommend it. I really do, especially if you're an Onyx fan. If you're an Onyx fan, you're probably already on it. But if you're not, or if you're curious about Onyx, you definitely want to give this cigar a try. And so it's actually a win-win, because if you like AJ's stuff, you're going to probably like the cigar. If you like Onyx, you're going to like it. So you put the 2 together and you really got something really terrific. So congratulations to AJ on doing a phenomenal job on this cigar. For more cigar smoking advice and information, be sure to follow us at cigaradvisor.com. Sign up for our mailing list, and be sure to also follow us on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter. And if you're following us on YouTube, be sure you like this video. I like doing the video. Hopefully you'll like the video. And be sure to subscribe to the channel and get our notifications so you know when a next video comes up. That's all for now. Thank you for watching #NowSmoking, and I'll see you next time. Happy smokes.